What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking back in on a very old friend. That's right, the content drought still continues. The rain will not fall, the ground is parched, we are surrounded on all sides by card games and Vampire Survivors knockoffs, but that does give us a really good opportunity for me to upgrade my coverage on a number of games that we covered in the past. It's been about 3 years since I covered this one. I think the last time I took a look at this title was like in March of 2023, and it was right before they were going to do a fundamental overhaul to the way that the game worked. I waited for that to happen, and well, it has finally happened. It has transpired, my friends, some might say. And so today we're going to take a look at Low Magic Age, and we're going to see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list, or if it's one of those games you would rather pass on. If you've never seen this title before, Low Magic Age is kind of an interesting passion project from one guy. What it's meant to be is Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 set in an open Battle Brothers style mercenary world where everything functions on Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 rules, but it does come with an absolutely ridiculous amount of house rules that you can customize, tailor, fiddle with in order to make your sandbox distinct to you as a Dungeons & Dragons player. I've been playing it now for about 4 hours this morning and into this afternoon, and I have had a good time with it. My biggest struggle that I've had with the game is I didn't realize how long it's been since I played Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. It's been a really long time. Like, I've been a big believer in Dungeons & Dragons 5.0. I like it in a lot of ways. I don't like it in some ways, but 3.5 is also pretty awesome. So today we're going to dive in for about 30 minutes. We're going to see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list. The link is down below. This game is in early access. The developer is a creature of whimsy. He kind of works on whatever he wants to work on with this game. There's not really any form or structure to it. Like, he just works on stuff, and you just check back in every year or so to see what systems he's fiddled with, what things he's expanded out. But one thing I will give him credit for is that the guy is a workhorse. He is constantly putting out content, adjustments, patches, new content for this game. And so let's dive on in. You can find a bunch of other Nerdcastle links down below just in case you wanted to rub your elbows up against those. I promise they won't get gritty, they won't get greasy, they won't get muddy. In fact, they will come back with a polished shine. But let's go ahead and start our adventure. I will continue the adventure that I have going for right now. And this is the game world. I don't even know where my characters are. There they are. So as you can tell, this is going to be one of the things that hits you in the face when you first start the game up. So the game used to have a real-time map that was like Battle Brothers, where you kind of slide around the map, you interact with nodes, you do stuff inside of the game world. It's been converted into more of a roguelike feeling now, where it's all square grids, and there's a considerable like ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk as you move around. The game has taken some negative reviews because of it. I agree with it, so I don't mind the structure of the grid tiles, but I do think the feel like if we walk over to this stone quarry, I do think that chunkiness right there needs to go. So making the characters slide in between the tiles, I think would feel a lot better. The chunk is there for a reason, because visually it's supposed to represent the passage of 1 hour's worth of time. So another thing to keep in mind, there's a reason for this visual design decision. Honestly, it doesn't bother me altogether that much because I play things like War Sim, I play things like Dwarf Fortress, I play things where they're entirely in ASCII, and so you're just discerning little symbols like you're looking at the Matrix Cascade while you're playing it. It doesn't bother me because my standards are very, very low for visual representation when it comes to wide open sandboxes, but I can see how it would bother some people. What is the goal of this game? There is none. There isn't really a goal to this title. They are working on a main storyline as of right now. I don't know how far the main storyline goes. It's quite time consuming. And so I've got a number of sort of basic fetch 'em quests right here where they want me to do 3 dungeons, they want me to clear 4 resource sites, and they want me to do 5 quests for the villagers of various towns. And that's the next step of my progression through the storyline, is just to establish myself as a hero doing heroic stuff. But there are little narrative elements that can like pop their heads up when you go to town, randomized events that will require you to do skill checks like climbing, rope use, stuff like that, all of which were completely and totally absent the last time we played the game. Almost none of these skills in the game were used 2 years ago when we played the game, and they're doing a much better job at utilizing skills now and actually making it feel like your party members have utility and provide something other than another guy swinging a heavy object at the enemy. For right now, what I do need to do is we'll dive into some combat because I need to clear out resource sites anyways, and there's a stone quarry right here that looks like it's been captured by half-orcs, halflings, and human mercenaries have just taken the thing over. We cannot abide that, obviously. We are the heroes of the realm. My character is a paladin. I'm lawful good. I see evil in my eye line, and I simply must smite it. So let us go forth unto the smiting, my friends. We go now with haste. So it looks like they got the opening turn. Very, very strong initiative roll right here. It's going to be tough to explain what's happening to anybody that hasn't had the benefit of playing Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. I simply cannot explain the rules of 3.5 in a 30-minute video. It can't be done. But if you've played other RPGs on, the digital platforms, it'll be kind of similar. We get an initiative roll at the beginning. It's based on your dexterity stat. I have 4 characters as of right now. I have my halfling rogue. I have a moon elf wizard. I have my character, who is a lawful good human paladin, because I wanted them extra feats, man. If you don't know what feats are, they're kind of like skills or proficiencies, I guess. And then we have Lita, who is kind of a strange one, a half-elf barbarian. I haven't been brave enough to ask her how a half-elf ended up becoming a barbarian, because I'm worried she's going to hurt me, but, let's fire an arrow at this guy. Everything in this game is exactly what you would expect from 3.5 rules, though. I don't want to get too close and have my wizard get schmacked. I'm going to have him cast protection from arrows on himself before he moves up, because they do have a lot of slingers and things over here, and I can virtually guarantee you they're all either going to target my barbarian or they're going to target my mage, because they have the lowest armor class, thus giving up the easiest roll in order to smite them. But let's move everybody into position, and we will prepare to create a cage over here to stop them from getting to my back lines. My paladin just took 4 damage on the opening schwack. Not great, but I think we should be fine here. 53 damage critical from the barbarian on the opening turn. People who haven't played Dungeons & Dragons before will not understand that a 53 damage critical at level 3 from your barbarian is kind of a unicorn. Really an incredible thing to witness with your own eyes. She's going to fire an arrow into melee combat. My wizard's back up right now. I do need to cage these guys to stop them from getting over here. Let's throw out a... Yeah, I think an acid arrow will probably do a good job, and it one-shotted that swordsman, which actually works out pretty well. We'll have him end his turn right there. These guys are going to advance, but these guys are going to be a little bit more hesitant about pushing their way into melee combat because they're slingers. You smack him, 14 damage. He's now down and dead. Unfortunately, my cage is falling apart here. If you don't know what caging is, it comes from Blood Bowl, which is another tabletop game. Basically, you should imagine a ring around all of your characters. No enemy character can pass through that ring around your character without taking free attacks of opportunity. And so you really want to set all your melees up in a grid, so no matter what way they try to cut through this funnel, they're taking attacks of opportunity if they decide to double down and go for your casters in the back. I'm going to throw out some magic missiles right there. Not the greatest application of damage that I can get out, but one of the nice things about ancient D&D builds is that in old D&D, wizards were very unique. They didn't have cantrips or anything yet that allowed them to cast spells on every single turn that sort of maturated with their level going up. Instead, they just had their spellbook ready to go, and once they casted their stuff, they started out incredibly, unbelievably weak, but as they leveled, they became headbreakers, like the scary guys that you had to worry about inside the confines of the enemy party. And so I like that. I enjoy the fact that wizards are kind of carries for a very long time in old D&D versions. I grew up with AD&D, which is the 2nd edition of D&D. Ooh, nice little cleave roll right there. She has cleave, and so she's got cleave and a spear. This allows her to attack from 2 tiles away, but inside the rules of this game, I don't know if this is an original D&D rule or if this is a house rule that I just happen to have enabled inside this playthrough, but I'm allowed to cleave with spears, which means that if I'm like 2 tiles out from people, I can be like bap, 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 and hit a whole bunch of people in a row with her, which has been a very real force multiplier for killing off my enemies. He has a crossbow. He just got XCOM'd with a unfortunate 95% miss, but we've killed off the last bandit that was inside of here, so now we are going to get XP, we're going to get some gold pieces, and we're going to get some reputation. Now, gold pieces in this game, I would recommend you put a decimal right there, because that's really how the economy works in this game. Having 3,200 gold pieces in, like, D&D is actually a big deal, especially if you're playing with the rules where you have platinum pieces and electrum pieces and stuff like that. Quite a bit of money. In this game, think about it as though each one of these is a copper. We actually have like 32 bucks right now. Things are very expensive inside of shops. In order to account for it, we got a locked copper chest. I've actually never looted one of those before, so I don't really know what it does. Can I mine inside this quarry? Is that like a thing that I can do? I have the option to mine elsewhere. Oh, you mine inside of a mine. I suppose that makes sense. What are these guys doing down here? It's a dwarf guard, some maulers, some slingers, and a few human swordsmen. We're kind of beat to hell right now, as you can see from our little portraits down at the bottom. So I'll probably just fall back to Parkerburg in order to like... Oh, never mind. We used up some supplies and we auto-rested. Did that also restore my spellbook? It looks like it did. Good. Inside of town, you are going to need various sundries in order to continue playing the game. So, for example, you're going to need supplies. Every day you have to use supplies for your people to, like, eat, drink, rest, be taken care of. They've got it conceptualized inside of this version where you've just got a ticker up here, a la Battle Brothers, that goes down over time. We also need spell components, but they don't actually make you control like leaves of ivy and sprigs of mint or anything else like that like they do in old D&D versions. They just conceptualize that down to a big pile of crystals that you have in your inventory that go down every time you cast a spell that requires, is it a somatic component? I think it's a material component. I can't remember what the word somatic means. I can't remember if that means you're doing like finger wigglies and you're doing like movements with your mouth. Either way, material components for your spells. This right here is our reputation. It's how good or evil you are. You can be either or in this game from what I understand, although I don't know if the actual build is clacked out to play evil characters just yet. Inside of town, you can do all kinds of stuff. The sandbox has developed a lot since the last time that I played it. There's crafting skills. You can make +2 weapons and things of that nature if you level them up and get them moving. You can gather quests. You can recruit new adventurers. And in fact, I kind of need a new adventurer right now, but I'm holding out for a ranger. That's what I really want. Like, I've got a paladin, I've got a barbarian, I've got a rogue that's doing the range thing, I've got a wizard. I'd kind of like to have a ranger who's just a floater in between ranged and melee. And then for my last character, because you can have a 6-man party in this game, I don't know who I want for my 6th character. Maybe like a sorcerer, maybe a bard. I haven't decided yet. A monk might be kind of cool. This guy's a lawful good dwerger, which is kind of weird. I thought dwergers were elite. I thought they were like evil by default, but I guess not. If I wanted to open that chest that we got, can I just do that with my rogue? I can. Nice, dude. What was inside the chest? 43 bucks and some coarse grindstones. I can live with that. I made my character a weaponsmith. You can do this thing where you can give your character training in different civilian pursuits. I don't know what it affects outside of the crafting skills, so I made her a hunter, but it hasn't been relevant yet. I'm guessing there's going to be like hunting spots on the map that I can find. What is this guy doing? He's a dwarvish trap maker. The game does have a living economy where people cruise around and they do stuff and they move products around and things of that nature, which are kind of cool. Oh, there's another quarry down here. Maybe I should go clear that. Let me save my game. I'll go whack this quarry real quick, and then maybe we'll run a dungeon or something. Dungeons can be kind of, a horde of monsters. I've never fought giant ants before. They're elite giant ants? I mean, send it. All right, so with the elite giant ants, it looks like they're down to the south of us. So I'm going to set up my first character to cage right there. I think is a good idea. He's got some kind of aura, but the game has sort of a scattered UI, and I've been having, D&D is a complicated game to represent inside of a digital form. There's a lot of menus and things that become vital when it comes to representing a complicated game like 3.5. And so I haven't figured out what that aura is around him. I'm sure if I went back to my 3.5 basic player handbooks and whatnot. Oh, that's not good. Ow, my wizard! Oh my god, they move so far. I did not expect that in the slightest. Let's protect him, maybe. It might be a wise idea. 17 damage on that crit, though, which is nice. No cleave right there. Take a 5-foot step over to there and then acid arrow that guy. Yeah, that'll work. Oh, he 5-foot stepped along with me, little bastard. All right, well, I'm going to have to keep evacing my people out of harm's way. Just kill that one. Oh, good. You got the cleave. 5-foot step over to here. And do I have any potions? I have a potion of cure wounds. I'll probably just drink that real quick in order to get rid of my bleed and like first aid myself. Not really too much more I can do. He's just gonna 5-foot step again. Yeah, we're kind of caught in that circle of 5-foot stepping. Here you see one of the great flaws of 3.5, the 5-foot step, and also another fun thing about 3.5 D&D is that this game has the conga line of death, which is a loving term that's been given to 3.5 tactics, because in 3.5, if you have, did I get anything good? They were elites. Sometimes elites drop really, really good stuff. Not this time, though. We've got a giant troop of baboons that are just rampaging throughout here. The game doesn't really show any adherence to like biomes and stuff like that. You will find any type of monster all over the place. I do think that the open world generation could be structured a little bit better, like with little biomes. So like in jungles, you would find things like snakes and crocodile monsters. Inside, savannas, you would find baboons or whatever. This right here is like hill country, so I wouldn't expect to find too much out here except for like wolves, boars, coyotes, brigands, that kind of stuff. What is that over there? There's something. They're preparing to attack me. Well, I don't want to fight you. Like, fight. Oh, my God. Okay, they're making me fight the baboons. We babooninating whether we like it or not. Let's go ahead and we'll just kind of, like, wait here to see what they do. And once the battle's actually joined, we'll jump into this. Baboons are really no threat to my party right now, which is why I was trying to avoid the fight, but we'll take the fight just to knock them on out. The game does have kind of mishmash of a graphic style. It doesn't really have an artistic theme. I'm going to be square with you. There are a million different ragdolls for your characters. There are a million different portraits. They come in like a million different art styles. I do think a unification of the art style would be a good idea at some point, but that kind of feels like a thing they would do at the end of the game. Frankly, what I really want, the number one thing that I would desire out of this game is that I actually kind of just want a bare bones ragdoll for my character that shows what gear I have equipped. That to me would just be mwah. It would be perfect if we could get that inside of the game, but I don't know if it exists yet. I just kind of, when I made these characters, I just sort of picked whatever portraits generally looked like the archetype that I was going for, and then I trucked on forward because your man had a video to make. He was a man on a mission, rolling slow, top down, headlights off, weapon cocked, you know what I mean? I'm gonna stop right outside of here. Oh, never mind, they just ate a supply, so that counts as a rest. We need to clear out these mines right here, I think, and it's got giant ants too. Giant ants were kind of scary last time. I did not enjoy what happened with the giant ants the last time that we played. You go ahead and just fire on into them. We'll set up a grid right here. I should be able to protect this pretty easily like so. That way nothing can kind of sneak by me. He's going to try to 5-foot step over to here and get a flank. Let's magic missile him just to keep some damage outgoing. And that should be all that he's able to do on his turn. Attack went out to the Barbarian. Didn't quite land anything. I do think having like some more sophisticated spell effects would be a good idea too. I don't think it's mandatory for the sandbox style of gameplay that this is going for, which is really just Battle Brothers but with D&D rules. But that having been said, we are living in a post-Baldur's Gate 3 world, and so something to be considered there is that Baldur's Gate 3 kind of set the bar really, really high when it comes to expectations. Then again, they had like 300 employees when they made that game. This game has one guy, and I find it actually really impressive what one guy has accomplished in 6 years of early access. That's right, this is one of those passion projects that I am almost positive this developer is going to work on forever, because he's already been working at it forever. He's already proven that that's kind of like what he wants to do, and if he's making enough money to do it, good for him, man. That should finish off all of the mines that I need to dive down into, but are those evil adventurers? Why do they have like a red thing? I don't know why they have a red thing, but they have a red thing. And so that kind of makes me nervous. Frankly, I should probably go back and recruit another guy before we do another dungeon. The game sort of like auto-balances the fights that you go into based on how many party members you have. You can change that around. If you want to raise up the randomness of the game and like the threat of the game and how difficult it is, you can eliminate that home rule. Make sure you pay attention when you make your sandbox because there are dozens upon dozens upon dozens of both common and uncommon house rules that I've seen over the years while I've played D&D. Smashing sounds and rough shouts draw your attention. A gang of bandits is attempting to rob a local business. Stop! Do you know how many trolls this axe has felled? I had no idea, but my 3-foot-tall halfling actually has really good intimidation skills. All right. It worked! Your intervention stopped violence with grateful owners offering you generous compensation. No kidding. We got a masterwork rapier? That's pretty sick, dude. And now the people are greeting me warmly. There's a lot of villagers inside of town right now. I don't know how this is going to affect the game later on. You can hire these guys to just follow you around like thralls or something. They can also act as employees for businesses that you own or whatever, but that's a system that's pretty deep into the game that I haven't interacted with at all just yet, and so you'll have to take my word for it, unfortunately. I will sell the Masterwork Morningstar, the Mithro Morningstar, the Morningstar. I'm going to hold on to the rapier, though, because my rogue has a rapier as her secondary weapon, and that'll be a nice little upgrade. From there, we got some level ups to take care of, so it looks like my character just hit level 4 Paladin. At level 4, I can turn undead. Okay, that'll be nice. It's Aura of Courage. I'm immune to fear, and everybody else gets a morale bonus around me. I'm just that inspiring, man. I stand out here like a panoply of righteousness shining in the sun. Let's go ahead and we'll level up our Paladin. Looks like we actually get to increase one of our skill scores, too. I don't know what I want to increase, however. I feel like working on Wisdom a little bit might be a good idea because a lot of Paladin stuff gets mods from Wisdom, and so I'll give him the Wisdom. We also have our full skill list right here. Not all of these are going to be used very frequently, but I have noticed that they do get used a lot more than when I played the last game. I've been making diplomacy checks and all kinds of things, but some stuff is used, some stuff isn't. Largely because the developer's been spending his time adding in, like, specialist classes. It seems like he's very interested in adding mechanical content rather than narrative content, and since narrative content tends to be the stuff that utilizes all this, it's a little bit light, but a lot of it does get used now by comparison to a couple of years ago. I'm going to keep working on my diplomacy, I suppose. Maybe another point in healing. Just in case I got to get rid of bleeding or like poison off of somebody mid-combat, might be a decent idea. I did notice that there was writing skill in here too that I have proficiency in, but I don't know if mounts are implemented just yet. That's really the problem with a title like this, is you just don't know what's in and what's out, and this game has like 100 different content patch notes, too many to read through, and so I just kind of like, if I run into it, I run into it. If I don't, I don't. My rogue did level up. An interesting thing that I've noticed is that some of the characters auto-level up, and some don't. I don't know if that's like a setting I have tweaked somewhere. Like I said, this is a very robust game when it comes to customizing your experience. You could spend hours just crawling through all the options in your sandbox generation. Some of my characters just auto-level up, and other characters I get to pick and choose what happens when they level up. And I haven't been able to figure out the difference in the last 4 hours, but then again, I haven't been looking too hard either, because I've been surveying all the changes in the other content, so it wasn't one of those things that stood out super brightly. But she has been applying her skills and her scores like all by herself, and she hasn't really been putting them in stupid things, so I haven't really minded that she's doing her own thing. It'll only become a problem when I decide to multi-class her or something, because I like to always throw a couple levels of fighter on every single rogue. It's one of those things that I've done for years. I don't play rogues very often, but when I do, I always end up throwing a couple of fighter levels on all of them, just because I feel like it really helps rogues out in the thick of the fray. He's got like 900 XP before he's ready to like throw down and do his thing. Is there, so can I have just a question for you? Is there a possibility I could find a ranger around here? I might have to hike my ass all over the earth to find a ranger. I'm gonna do it. There's a cleric. That's what we're lacking. I was kind of using myself as a lightweight cleric. I will 100% take a cleric, actually. She's a sun elf cleric. Okay. I mean, she's lawful neutral. That should more or less fit in with a lawful good character except for like edge cases. So I could see that. We've got a fairly bog standard D&D party right now. You can get alternates. They give you like a stable later on in the game that you can buy that you can keep your heroes inside of, so that technically they're recruited but they're just hanging out in the town right now, and then you can swap them in and out. But I haven't had that many characters on offer, so it hasn't really been that big of a problem so far. What she got going on as far as gear's concerned, like what's she got rattling about? A Cloak of Resistance, eh? +1 to all saves. Probably put that on the old Barbernator over here. Level up the Barbernator as well. I could take a quest to deliver a letter. Or I could escort a caravan to Wilton. How far away is Wilton? Yeah, I can be a caravan guard for a little bit. What is more standard fare than it's like you hear the rattling of wheels? In order to find your fortune, you have signed on as a caravan guard. One cool thing you can do in this game, and I really like this piece of quality of life, is you can just click the name in your quest log, and it will walk you over there automatically. You won't have to do anything. I really, really like... Oh, this is a big city over here. Okay, this is like our Baldur's Gate city over on this side. What do they have going on? Oh, they got all kinds of people. They got clerics, they got paladins. No rangers, though. Ooh, energy resistance chain shirt for 5,600 bucks. This game does fold in some ideas from Diablo, where you don't just have +1 weapons. Just like you can do as a dungeon master, you can be like, oh dude, it's a +1 sword, and it appears to have some film on it that no matter how hard you try, you can't wipe off. Maybe in the future you'll be able to figure out what it does, or maybe you could hand it to somebody in the party, and then like as your party investigates it to keep them engaged with the loot that they've been looting, they figure out that, oh, it gets +1 fire damage every single time it hits something, and it can ignite oil. Oh, this weapon's kind of dangerous. This game tackles that idea by adding Diablo-style affixes and modifiers that you can get on gear that's above mundane. And so like this energy resistance chain shirt right here, it lowers elemental damage by 2, and then it just gives you flat spell resistance when you're making rolls against like spell damage and whatnot. And so that actually to me makes the game a lot more robust and interesting. Right now my paladin has one of these, he has a purple one, which is the second tier. So you've got like white items, you've got blue items, you've got yellow items, and you've got purple items. And I think the yellows are the best of all. I don't know which is stronger between the purples and the blues. I think the blues are stronger than the purples because these are just uncommon. And then the blues are actually magical, which is an important distinction in the D&D world. For all intents and purposes, this is a lightly magically enchanted weapon that has been physically modified to cause the enemy to bleed. Whether he just scuffed it up on a curb or whether he added fish hooks to it, who knows. But was that wounding coming from magical force? We would know, but that's kind of the way that I rectify it mentally. We do have a pretty sick troll belt over here that gives you just natural regeneration per turn. Foof, it gives you a bonus when being healed. That's some spicy stuff, but I was really just looking for more mundane, simple equipment for her. We'll probably pick it up as we adventure. Let's go do a dungeon, though. I think we're going to go... Oh, I need to resupply. So let me go... Where is that at? I still forget my menus all the time. There we go. We'll buy supplies. We'll buy spell materials. It was incredibly expensive. I am now destitute. You do need to buy a trade license if you want to buy trade goods inside the shops and just run them back and forth in between cities, making a premium on like supply and demand, buy low, sell high. Or in my case, sell high, buy low because I'm an idiot. There's got to be a dungeon around here that I can take a look at. It looks like Wise Oak Spire. It's a tower. Yeah, we can take a look at this. When you go into a dungeon, it goes into this form right here, where it's a Darkest Dungeon style grid that has rooms that have different events and stuff like that inside of it. Why does my cleric look like that? I'm going to have to change her stuff. Do you have your melee weapon equipped right now? You do, don't you? All right, actions, swap over to your heavy crossbow. Oh, did she take fast hands? I'm so happy for her. I was wishing that she had deft hands or whatever that allows you to swap your weapons out for a free action instead of a standard action, so that's really good. In her case, whose turn is it right now? Oh, it's your turn? No cleave proc on that one, but with my cleric, you're going to be fighting in the front lines, so step over to here and just bash that guy's brains in. I know that you are not really clacked out right now. Oh, that's interesting. Quality of life, too. I know you're not clacked out for melee just yet. So the interesting bit of quality of life that I saw right there is she gets 2 magic missiles because she's a level 3 wizard, and you get an extra missile every odd level, basically. So she didn't fire both of her missiles at that enemy. The first missile killed him, and the game automatically decided to fire the second missile at just whoever. I like that. That's a nice little piece of quality of life. I enjoy that very much. That wolf is just going to... Oh, that dog. He's just going to 5-foot step to the right here. It's not really going to matter, but... kill that off just to clear our flank. A 95% miss. That's a bummerowski, dude. Yeah, that'll work. That's looking pretty good. You've only got a ranged weapon, so just hang out and defend for a minute. I'm going to clear that off you, though. I could have delayed his turn, I suppose. That would have been the smarter thing to do. But doesn't matter. The field has been cleared, and we made it through. It looks like those swords, that dog was in possession of a masterwork greatsword. He must have just thought it was a shiny stick. In the hallways, you will find little events like treasure chests. You will find booby traps, things of that nature. So there's this place that's suspicious right now that we noticed. We failed to check to find out what was suspicious about it, and we fell into a pit trap. Womp, womp, womp. Incredibly painful. We do have a second layer of a dungeon right here, but I think I have to explore all the levels before I go down lower. I do need to distribute all of those crossbow bolts that we just found, too. Nothing inside of there. Room mostly empty. I would like to see a little bit more theming to the rooms that you discover. A little bit more flavor text, I suppose, to sort of draw things in for the people. So here's the thing. For sandbox lovers, for people that run D&D campaigns that are very hack and slash and have very little narrative outside of go here and smash stuff, you'll probably find this to be entertaining. But for people that are into D&D for the narrative, a little bit lightweight on that. There's never going to really be a reason why you go down into dungeon, aside from me warrior like smash, go down in dungeon, find great treasure, you know what I mean? I suppose I could cure light wounds on the wizard. That would be a gentlemanly thing to do. 3 badgers. I don't think we're in a dungeon. I think we're just in a smelly mongrel hovel right now. That's kind of what I think. This doesn't strike me as being the most adventurous of dungeons, but you don't get to pick and choose who the adversaries are going to be when you go into these places. Then again, given how mean honey badgers are, it's possible that they ran off whatever lived inside of here before. Super possible. Now that I have a healer, I see this whole situation getting a lot less temperamental. Alright, so we got our hit right there. Go ahead and fire those off. We're not getting great damage rolls on our crossbows right now. If we're even hitting it. He just got like a triple attack? Good lord. Alright, we'll continue smashinating until these things are out of our way. We're just gonna like forehead down, click auto attack till we get out of here. You can play this game like an auto battler if you want to at any time in combat. You can hit the space bar and the game will automatically play for you. Useful. It actually adds kind of like, you ever played a roguelike that has auto explore? There you go. If you just don't feel up to it and you're watching a movie or something on your second monitor, hit that space bar. Let the game play itself for a little bit. That breastplate is actually an upgrade for her, though. That'll bring her armor class up to 21, which for a level 2 character, kind of a rowdy amount of armor class. I don't know what the highest armor class she can achieve is at level 2, but it can't be higher than 23. Like, you would have to munchkin the ass off this character in order to get, like, a 23 AC out at level 1, at, like, level 2 character creation. Let me distribute crossbow bolts to everybody as well, just to make sure that we have them in all of our slots before we go any further. There we go. That'll work out. Another hallway down, and we did not find our stairs, but I haven't gone south yet. What are we up against? Looks like kobolds down inside of here. They're just going to be slingers. I don't even know if they're going to have warriors with them, so this should be we should dog walk these guys pretty easily. Yeah, just move down to here and see if you can cleave them all down. Nope, no cleaves, unfortunately, but we can make contact right there. Yeah, it's just all ranged, guys, so this should be pretty easy to sort out. Let's go just fire a crossbow over there. Fire a crossbow. There you go. You got one of them. Proud of you, G. Good job. 5-foot step and a sling throw. I didn't even need to move right there. Technically, she's got a 2-handed pole arm, so I could have hit from 2 tiles away, but... Good stuff. A lot of money, in all honesty. We just got paid for that fight. Let's head back over this way and kind of see what's waiting for us down this corridor. Treasure, you say? I enjoy treasures. It's not really treasure. It's a wooden club, a bullet, 42 bucks, and some padded armor. That's only treasure in the loosest of terms. A rolling rock trap, huh? They tried to get us with the old... A phylactery of positive channeling. You get +2 damage on positive energy spells. That sounds like something from like a Splat book. That doesn't sound like Core 3.5. But then again, this developer seems to really enjoy adding things that are... He's basically working on putting every single Splat book inside of this game right now. If you don't know what a Splat book is, they're extra books that just add shit to D&D. 3.5, one of the great flaws of 3.5, in my opinion, is that the developers of 3.5 over at Wizards of the Coast, they were not super discerning about the amount of content they put out for 3.5, and so there were just a gargantuan, monumental amount of Splat books. I can remember dungeon mastering 3.5, and my nightmare was the same every single time. Every player was going to show up with some Splat book that had some super specific thing that I had to learn all the rules for. I had to read like half the Splat book in order to dungeon master properly, tailor the campaign to that one player that just couldn't play a normal class. Like, actually, it's from this Splat book that's full of psychic creatures, which then I've gone into this handbook over here, which has psychic warriors, and I've multi-classed into this Splat book over here, which has psychic casters, and then you've just got me in the corner like, God, kill me, please. I gotta read 3 books before we can even play the campaign. God! Just dungeon master problems. This is why I made a hard embargo on dungeon mastering. I don't dungeon master anymore. I'm done with it. Players have unrealistic expectations for the amount of things that I'm going to be willing to learn just to run like a lightweight campaign every 2 weeks that half the people aren't going to show up for anyways. And so, like, I just stopped dungeon mastering. I just stopped. No, I'm done with it. We got a Yun Stone of Strength. That sounds like the sound your throat makes when you're having heartburn. It's like, Yun. What does it do? So it just gives us a +2, and it just gives you strength. Well, it's not going to stack with anybody that's already got a strength bonus, I don't think. So, like, if I put that in right there, yeah. So they have the D&D rule in here where magics of the same type nullify each other. He's got gauntlets of ogre power. Those are already giving him +2 to strength, and so he can't get strength from any other source. However, we could conceivably put it on her because she's got kind of a bad strength for a cleric, so that kind of works out, I think. And in reading the description of this thing, it looks like this boosts her healing by +2. I also needed to, like, change her figure around so that she looks like a paladin. I also needed to change her portrait around so that she looks like a cleric. What kind of cleric is she? She's a sun elf? Alright, let me see what I can find here. There we go. She's been portraited, and she has a new figure on the game map that looks a little bit more like a cleric. My characters have to look like what they are. When selecting these things, you can change them around if you want. The Steam Mod Workshop, this game is enabled with it, so you can import like a ridiculous amount of portraits and stuff if you want to. It auto-imports a lot of them. Obviously, this means that the entire thing is spackled with AI art like everywhere, but it's not the game's fault. It's the users that are adding that stuff on in there. But still, I do think that like adding more portraits and things that actually reflect the gear that you have on would be a good idea. And with that, I think we're done with this dungeon right here. So like I said, a very, very lightweight hack and slash game that is expanding very quickly with new content due to the never-ending labors of the developer. Warnings that I would say, I really don't have any complaints about this. Like, it is accomplishing the thing that it sets out to accomplish. Really, the only thing that I would mention is if there's like a specific D&D feature or specific like narrative stuff you would like to see added to the game, or specific this, specific that, there is no telling when the developer is going to get around to it. Like I said, a developer of whimsy. The things that he works on from week to week are the things that he wants to work on, that he thinks that he wants inside of the game. And that means that this game and the stuff that get added to it are just kind of random, but they are all D&D things that actually exist in the physical paper world, and so give it time and eventually the thing you're looking for will be added on in. I'm pretty happy with the way that this has developed out over time. In fact, I came into this not really expecting a ton 2 years later, but it has adapted a lot, and it has added a lot more variety, and it has added things that I remember being complaints the last time I played the game. So that's very, very good. Ooh, I can get web over here. I don't know which one I want, though. Bull's strength would be nice if I could throw it onto the barbarian from time to time. I thought at level 2, darkness might be good. Either way, though, I thought that hold person was a level 2 spell, but it must be a level 3 spell. Hold person, dude. The goat of D&D. One of the greatest spells ever. I can't get scorching ray, though. If you can't get something that's good, get something that's explosive. That's my motto. But my name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we are fooling around with a game called Low Magic Age, which is a big old sandbox full of D&D stuff for you to do. The theming needs work, the atmosphere needs work, the narrative needs work, the world building needs work. But if you're looking for just a pure sandbox that's not going to encumber you with any of that stuff and you just hack and slash your way around with 3.5 rules, the game accomplishes that with aplomb, as long as you're not worried about the visuals too much. I dig it. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, Low Magic Age. Tomorrow it'll be something else. Thank you for hanging out with me, and that's all I got for you, folks. Bye.